I am in the town of Andersonville, Georgia. Let me show you a map real quick so you know where it is. And then right after that, here is the population history. Peak population, year 2000, 331. Last census, 237. Yeah, very small town, but it packs a pretty big punch in history. Here's a placard. Kind of sums it all up. The city of Andersonville was incorporated in 1853 as the village center of a small farming community. It came to national attention when Camp Sumter Prison opened here in 1864. Captain Henry Wirz, I think that's how you pronounce it, was tried for alleged crimes against humanity in 1865. Today, the community proclaims itself a Civil War village and honors both the memory of Union soldiers who suffered here and Confederate soldiers who did their duty while experiencing illness and death in numbers comparable to their unfortunate prisoners. All right, so there's that. I'm going to head over to this downtown, little tiny downtown, and tell you some more. So this prisoner of war camp was a Confederate camp, and it was used to hold Union soldiers, 45,000 of them, 13,000 of which died because of the poor conditions. And that is why Captain Wirz was tried and convicted of war crimes, and he was eventually executed for it. But there are some who say the charges were unfair. The median age of this town is 37, by the way. Here's the ethnic breakdown. 65% white, 31% black, 3% Hispanic, 1% Asian, the rest is mixed race. I guess they get some tourism here. Kind of quiet today. You can tell these buildings have been here a long time. Oh, look at that. Let's see, median household income. Shockingly low, $22,656 a year. That's $436 a week. That is very little money. Well, let's see, how about poverty? 26.5% overall. 17 and younger, 4%. Not very many kids here, that's why. But 65 and older, 49%. That is really high. Now, I'll tell you what's interesting is that despite Captain Wirz being convicted and executed, a monument was still put up in his name. This is it right here. See what it says. Born Zurich, Switzerland, 1822, sentenced to death and executed at Washington, D.C. in 1865. To rescue his name from the stigma attached to it by embittered prejudice. Let me say that right. This shaft is erected by the Georgia Division, United Daughters of the Confederacy. That is interesting, isn't it? There's a couple statues here, I believe to represent the Union and Confederate soldiers. Well, I'm at the Prisoner of War National Historic Site. Yeah, so let's go check it out. Yeah, this place is actually quite amazing, and it covers prisoners of war from all the wars that we've had in our past. Now, this is an example of the cages that Vietnam War prisoner of wars were kept in. They called them tiger cages. Now, this is the little dungeon, they called it, that prisoner of wars were kept in Vietnam. Yeah, the legs were shackled there, and they just basically had to stay right there all day, every day. Yeah, this right here is a Red Cross survival parcel. A lot of POWs say this is what kept them alive. This is how a few of the Union soldiers escaped from this prisoner of war camp. Yeah, they dug themselves out. This was Andersonville. Yeah, and it shows a picture of what it looked like back in the mid-1800s. Yeah, 45,000 Union soldiers confined here, nearly 13,000 died. And this is what it looks like now. Yeah, so here is a recreation of the stockade as it looked then. Wow, huh? Let's go see the other side. Well, this is how they were held. Providence Spring. Apparently what happened is lightning struck here in 1864. And when it happened, the water came out. And it was a godsend for the prisoners. Because, probably not surprisingly, they needed fresh water and not enough was made available to them. Now, this is a recreation, of course, but this is what it would have looked like entering the camp. There's a couple pigeon roosts there, which would hold men armed, ready to shoot. So you would enter this outer gate, and then the inner gate, and reports say that once you entered here, it was a sea of men who were starving, filthy, smelled really bad, and just really desperate conditions. Right next to the prisoner of war National Historic Site, there is a national cemetery. Andersonville National Cemetery. This cemetery began as a burial place for the 12,920 Union soldiers who died in the nearby prison camp. When it was established as a national cemetery in 1865, it became open to veterans of all later wars and remains an active cemetery. That is a lot of headstones, isn't it? Let's see one up close. 1045 S.B. Kennedy. Kentucky, it looks like. You may have noticed that the headstones are right next to each other. Here's why. The prisoners' headstones are only inches apart. As the death rate at Andersonville escalated to 100 per day, officials abandoned the use of pine box coffins and had the bodies buried shoulder to shoulder in trenches. I guess this is what it looked like. Here's another picture. I am in Montezuma, Georgia. Here's a quick map. You're probably wondering about the name. Yes, it was named after the Aztec emperor. It was named by soldiers who returned from the Mexican-American War back in the mid-1800s. Median age here is 43. little bit older town. The ethnic breakdown: 77% black, 17% white, 3% Asian, 2% Hispanic. Let's do the population real quick. Peak population 1980, 4830. Last census down to 3,047. That's a lot of people gone, folks. I don't know if you could say this town is healthy. Looks okay, even though you are seeing some blight here downtown. Here's the median household income, $46,315 a year. It's almost $900 a week. Bread of Life Soup Kitchen. Non-denominational ministry of caring in the name of Jesus. Yeah, I like this. Well, what's poverty like? 17.7 overall, 21% for school-aged children, folks 65 and older, 15%. Cost of living, 84. But look at healthcare, 133. Ouch. Housing's at 52. That beautiful building over there. I am pretty sure, and a local can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that is sitting empty over there. There's a little town square off that main street, and it's anchored by the Montezuma post office. This was built in 1939. That is New Deal architecture. It was developed by President Roosevelt. Seen quite a bit of this in Georgia. Yeah, there's a fountain here in the square. Looks like it's been turned off for winter. Let's see, let me give you crime. It's pretty low. 13 incidents per 1,000. Let's see, I'm driving in a neighborhood here. It's actually quite a nice neighborhood. Can't find a place to park, otherwise I'd get a closer look at this, but that is a Confederate monument. Yeah, there it is. That has been there a long time, you can tell. Here's the houses that are around this Confederate monument. It's quite the neighborhood, isn't it? Let me give you the median home value real quick. $81,400. I mean, goodness gracious. Houses really don't match the incomes and the median home value. It's a pretty amazing neighborhood. There's a lot of houses just like these in this area. Now we're seeing a bit of abandonment. On the other side of the street, hey, there's a cat. You see it? Does that count? It's just a quick glance. Just a tiny little house. Old car wash. Right next to it, an old abandoned gas station. All right, everyone, I am in Marshallville, Georgia. Here's a quick look at a map. Show you where I'm at. This is downtown. Here's the population history. 1980, 1540, that was peak population. Last census, 1,048. That's quite a few people gone, isn't it? They've got some good Christmas decorations up, though, here in the town. Let me give you median household income real quick, because it is really low here. $18,839 a year. That's $362 a week. That would be very hard to live on, wouldn't it? 2.3 people per household. There's that number. And 45% of the town has a female head of household. So you've got a lot of single mothers here raising children, apparently. As you would expect, poverty is really high, 41.6% overall. School-age children, 49%. Half the kids here live in poverty. Folks 65 and older, 38%. Wow, this is not even a good place to retire, it doesn't seem like. Cost of living is pretty low in 81. Housing is the lowest one there, 48. And a lot of ruins here. You can see on the inside of this one. Well, let's see. Let me give you ethnic breakdown. 60% black, 24% white, 9% Hispanic, 1% Native American. Remaining is mixed other. Let's see. And how about crime? Very low. Last year, 10 incidents per 1,000 people. That's less than half the U.S. at 23. Check it out, gentlemen. Looks like a pretty good candidate for man cave, doesn't it? That would look good. Another interesting little tidbit about this town is, well, peaches. We all know that Georgia is the peach state, right? Well, that started here. In fact, let me go over here. There's a mural. All of a sudden, there's traffic. 2 cars. Anyway, back to peaches. Georgia is the peach state. That started here. Yeah, in the mid-1800s, a young guy by the name of Samuel Rumpf, I think that's how you pronounce it, started growing peaches here. He grew several strains and developed one called the Alberta. Yeah, there it is, home of the Alberta peach. That became the top grown peach in the world. Something that he developed right here in this little town. And as a result, Georgia became the peach state. And by the way, he named it after his wife. And the town also started out, well, as a railroad town. There's the original depot, as I understand it. It is a liquor store now. Looks like the healthiest business in town. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Well, I'm just outside of downtown. Empty house there. But just past it, got some pretty nice houses here. It's a big old church. First Baptist Church. That is beautiful, isn't it? Well, it's not a whole lot to see here, guys. This looks like a quiet, peaceful town. You know, the statistics are always interesting, but sometimes, I don't know, they just don't always make sense. This town looks pretty damn nice. I mean, this is a typical street here. Looks just fine, doesn't it? I didn't give you median home values here yet, and it's a doozy. $64,800. I mean, that is really low. But the houses look okay. I'm driving all over town. It's not a big place. This is pretty much what I'm seeing everywhere. All right, everyone, so that's going to be the end of this one. If you're ever in central Georgia, these two historic sites are definitely worth a visit. Anyway, we are heading back to the middle of the country. I'm going to do videos in Missouri, Kansas, and Oklahoma, and then we're going to take Christmas break. All right, so we will see you in those places.